Everybody to AJD Consulting Services. You're brand new here to the Human Resources Department. My name is Sally Smith. I am in HR leadership here at the organization. If everybody can mute their microphones and raise your hand using the raise hand feature on Microsoft Teams, we all work in a distributed work environment. Some of us are in the office and most of us are working remotely. Today, we're going to talk about who is AJT IT Consulting Services. What does it mean to be part of the Human Resources Department? And let's spend a little time talking about a human resources overview. Let's walk through our organizational structure. Let's talk about how we can support the organization and how we use KPI or key performance indicators to support the needs of the business. Let's deep dive into talent attraction, acquisition, and retention, including job analysis, job design, job specifications, and how this all works into the retention model. Finally, let's talk about promoting culture. As any experienced or probably even inexperienced human resources professional might know, in order to win in today's society, we need to not only create the attraction up front, but we need to tap into the psychological need of human nature for belonging. We need to carry that through the entire employee life cycle. So who are we as an organization? Not too many people are familiar with our services, let alone our business. AJD Consulting was founded in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. As everybody remembers, all of a sudden, March of 2020, we were all scrambling in both the HR and non-HR communities to figure out how to create a distributed workforce, how to stagger schedules, how do we keep our employees safe. Most of the employees in the workforce were working remotely in a distributed model, similar to what you all are experiencing today. We have people dialing in from the Pacific time zone, the Central time zone, and the Eastern Standard time zone today in a distributed workforce setting. So that's how this company was born. The owner and operator, Allison, found a way to provide consulting services in the human resources world to clients who now have a distributed workforce and maybe an HR staff who is unfamiliar with the territory. We're going to come in, we're going to help you navigate. We can do separate services such as payroll, accounting, union, etc. However, our main goal is to be consultative in nature and help support HR professionals as we work towards this brand new normal, which is changing every single day. Let's talk about the human resources life cycle or the employee life cycle. So as you all probably are aware, you all are taking part in this life cycle right now. There was an attraction piece. That's where we or the business is going to market to help attract new talent into the pipeline. Then we go through the recruitment piece. In the recruitment piece, there are interviews, tours, possibly some travel, and evaluations along the way until hiring managers can really narrow down who would be the best fit for the business. You've all been through that, and here we are, the third stage of human resources, orientation. This is where you're going to learn about company policy, procedure, some of our self-service models, which are all in the handouts that were emailed to you prior to this meeting, that will address company policy in finite detail, how to access our self-service portal where you can look at things like pay, benefits, or other support services that we offer. And then finally, you'll understand what we're looking to do going forward. After onboarding, there's enablement. And oh my, does a lot fall under this umbrella. There is compliance, there's compensation and benefits. But most of all, when we're talking about enabling our workforce, we are talking about employee engagement. How do we get that psychological contract to come through every single day? Remember, that's the one where we offered the position, the employee feels compelled to perform the position based on the compensation that we're providing them. We're going to get into development. The development of the workforce or the employees in your organization is probably the most important part of your work. You are going to be able to use key performance indicators to support the business, and you're also going to do strategic consulting, with your managers. You're going to be able to see trends in data that are happening across the organization, across the country, and across the world as we continue to navigate these uncharted waters of a distributed workforce. How do we get the most out of our employees? We invest in them. We have a very robust learning and development system, which we will get to in later meetings, where you can meet with your manager can put you on a roadmap, and then there are training and development sessions, including professional certifications, that the employee will now feel grateful and valued. Development and retention go hand in hand. We really have to look at our employees to make sure they're not getting bored, to make sure they're not a statistic. We want to make sure that we are keeping folks engaged and managing their career, because at the end of the day, if we manage their career successfully and we put them on the right learning and development paths, we ultimately earn more profit as a business. That is the goal. Unfortunate and fortunate times bring upon separation. Unfortunately, we do have employees who separate, and there are policies and procedures in your handbook that will address how we navigate separation in these more unfortunate times. We do have a very long tenure thus far, and I'm proud to say that we have a lot of employees who are knowledge workers. We want to keep them. We want to hire workers who understand the industry, understand best practices, and maybe we will be their last stop prior to retirement. And of course, once they retire, the life cycle starts again. We need to start working on attraction and recruitment for the backfill for that role. How do we support the organizational structure? At the top of this slide, you will see our current leadership org structure. Allison Davis is the owner-operator. Frank Davis is our Vice President of Business Development or Sales. I'm Sally Smith. I'm your HR leader. Michael Gajewski is Accounting Leadership, and Matt Fletcher is IT Leadership. So how do we in Human Resources support all of these people with these really lofty titles? As mentioned in the previous slide, our role is to monitor data using key performance indicators and evidence-based HR. Collecting that data, let's help demonstrate and show leadership that the money invested in our people and our HR systems are justified. Talent acquisition and retention. This is by and large my favorite subject. Our goal is to create a high performance work system, which really means we want the best fit between the social system or the people and interactions and the technical systems, the equipment and processes that we use. How do we get there? We are going to perform a job analysis. We might use a position analysis questionnaire. We might do some work redesign. We might work on selection and training so that we really understand the role. And then we're going to get into job design. What are the actual functions of the role? The essential duties, the bullet points that you see in a job description are the job design. When you're done designing your role, you might work on job specifications, which are minimum qualifications and preferred qualifications. We should be very mindful of how these things are worded. They will be posted on the World Wide Web for all applicants to see, as well as being marketed by our recruitment marketing partners on LinkedIn and also at live career events. We should maintain both OFCCP and EEOC compliance at all times. How do we promote culture here at AJD Consulting? You might be scratching your head thinking, wow, 15 years ago, we had a company picnic. There was somebody in HR who would have water bottles or other trinkets, maybe some snacks, things like that when you arrived at work. Maybe it was a luncheon that we did a lunch and learn for training and development. Now we live in a distributed workforce. How do we support the culture? We have a number of different technology platforms that are very similar to ones you probably use every day, like Instagram or Facebook. They're proprietary software that our owner-operator has invested in so that we can share milestones and get to know each other on a personal level. Outside of personal culture, how do we make sure people maintain that sense of belonging? Now that travel restrictions have been lifted in all but very extreme cases, we will be starting to have sessions across the country that are, for lack of a better term, road shows, where we are going to go and we're going to travel and get people together. Maybe it will be a roundtable meeting. The company is small enough where we can get together at a centralized location and spend 2 days in conference to really learn more about how to be the best value add moving forward. How do we take the organizational value using our culture of development, diversity, and inclusion and make sure everybody feels they have a seat at the table? That's really up to you. That's the biggest lift in HR, is making sure people believe that. Every now and again, you'll hear of a CEO who goes to organizations who ensures employees, hey, we have an open door policy, you have a seat at the table, but they're nowhere to be found. I can guarantee you that part of our role here in HR is to make sure that our leadership connects with their downlines. If somebody raises their hand, has a process improvement suggestion, or just wants to share some information, we're here to be heard. Additionally, you will notice certain cohorts, teams in your Microsoft Teams settings. These cohorts are part of our DE&I initiative. They will get together, single parents, people who have things in common, dog lovers, LGBTQ community involvement, where they can feel that it's a safe space to collaborate and share ideas as well.